everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make rainbows for cakes and cupcakes, and also 2 ways to make clouds using a mold and obviously doing them by hand yourself. So you can choose whichever suits you. So I'm going to show you how to make a large rainbow to sit on top of a cake. Roll a sausage shape to start with. I'm doing purple as it's the last color. Use the top part of your hand to roll. If you use your fingers to roll, you can see it actually makes dents in your paste and you don't have a nice smooth sausage shape. So just roll all the way along the sausage to get it nice and even to start your rainbow. I sometimes use both hands, or I use a hand and just move up and down the shape to get it really smooth and as even as possible. Just keep going until you know it's long enough to fit around the circle, or most of the way around the circle. And there you go. So I've got the rest of my colors ready and I'm going to start adding those to build my rainbow. Just brush a little bit of glue along the top side before adding your next color. Gently bend it over and smooth on nicely to make sure it sticks. And just continue building your rainbow now. I'm making this for an 8-inch round cake. So I'm using a 2-inch circle to build my rainbow around. It just really helps you get that nice arch. Now if you're unsure of how big to make your rainbow, build your rainbow on a cake board, on a cake board with a bit of parchment paper under your rainbow so it doesn't stick to the board. And as you build, you can see that it will fit your cake size, whether it's 6-inch, 7-inch, 8-inch. I always try and make my rainbows so I have about 1/4 of an inch each side of the rainbow, that I can fit clouds around the edges of the rainbow. There's nothing worse than making a rainbow, going through all of this, having it dry, and then it's actually too big for your cake. So always check that it's going to fit on top of your cake. I will show you in the next video how to make slightly smaller arched rainbows, but you use exactly this method to make even smaller rainbows to fit onto cupcakes. Just roll them much thinner. So there I'm finishing the full rainbow, all the colors added. And gently move it up, and I'm going to trim off any excess. And then I always pull these apart and I actually use the colors again anyway. So to cut the other side, I remove the circle cutter just so I can see exactly where I need to cut. And there you go, it's nice and straight, and you want it to dry now. Make my rainbows up 3 days before adding to my cake. Place on a piece of parchment to dry and turn over every couple of hours to make sure it's drying both sides of the rainbow, and set aside. Now to make some little rainbows for cupcakes. Again, I make these up about 3 days in advance. Roll out your paste, all the different colors, and just place them together in a long strip. And you're going to place them over this former to get the arch in them. Gently place over the former and make sure that they're stuck together nicely. Press down on the edges and then gently trim off the excess, making sure that the rainbow is actually touching the table so that this will fit nicely onto a cupcake topper. You want these to set nice and firm. I use Saracino modeling paste as it does dry quickly and it really holds its shape well to fit on top of cupcakes. Even if you only have 2 days to do this, it will still work. Place them over nice and neat, and then set aside to dry until you're ready to add them to your cupcakes. So now I'm going to show you how to put your cupcakes together. I have my rainbows nice and dry after 3 days, and we are going to make some clouds using a mold. I find this easier when I'm doing 30 cupcakes at a go, rather than sitting molding these all by hand. You just use a little bit of Saracino modeling paste and press it into the mold. Make sure it's nice and even with the top, and then you will gently ease it down and then bend back and pop your little cloud out. So I'm making 2 clouds to go on the first disc, and I'm going to show you how you can add your tall arched rainbow and your other shorter arched rainbow into the clouds. It's very easy, but when you first stick it on, just add a little bit of sugar glue and don't press too hard when you first glue them on, because you might need to change where they are when you add your rainbow. Gently add them to the disc. You don't want to press too hard and misshape the cloud either. You want to keep the fluffy cloud effect. So I'm just checking for size here to make sure that it will work and adding a little bit of glue on the end of the rainbow. I just want to show you how you can adjust the clouds if you want to use 2 clouds for the other rainbow. You would just place them at another angle and push the rainbow into them. But for this one, we're using this rainbow into the 2 clouds. So I've changed them up and I've put them vertical again. So a little bit of glue on the ends of my rainbow and just gently, gently ease this into the clouds. Very easy. That's it. You've got one cupcake topper ready. I think the longest part is actually making the rainbows on these. So for your next one, I'm going to just use one long cloud so that it fits across the disc and the rainbow just sits in the one long cloud rather than adding 2 to each topper, as I did have to make 30 of these. I found it easier. So this, I had a bit too much paste in here. So just gently used my knife to go along the top and just straighten the edge off a little bit. Now add this across your cupcake topper and a little bit of glue underneath to hold it in place. And again, some glue on each base side of the rainbow. And then gently, gently ease this down into your cloud. And make sure it's stable and straight in your cupcake topper, in your cloud. There you go. Really nice and easy to use molds and very effective. There's your next topper ready. To make your own clouds for your cakes, if you don't have a mold, and also if you need bigger clouds than the mold allows, you can easily make these with plain sugar paste. So roll loads of balls and stick them together. They don't have to be perfectly formed or shaped. You just want to get a cloud shape. My mat is a little bit dusty here so that these don't stick to my mat and I can move them around. But just build up a cloud. You can do any shape or size that you want that suits your cake. And just I always add a couple of big ones, a couple of little ones, and just build up until you have a shape that you're happy with. Set aside, and now you're going to get some white paste and roll it out really thin to drape over your cloud. Now my mat is not too dusty, but because I need this to actually be a little bit sticky so it sticks to the balls that I've made. Drape gently over, and I use a fan brush to brush around the edges and also across the top over the balls and kind of ease the icing in between the balls so you actually get that lovely shape that you've made underneath. Now I take the fan brush and use it, as you can see, along the bottom edge, and I rub it against the bottom edge, and it actually cuts most of the icing away. And that means when I come to trim it with a knife, there's not much for me to actually cut away. And just gently take off any excess and lift up your cloud. And there you go. You've got a lovely cloud shape, and neaten and tidy up a little bit more to really show the balls underneath the icing. That's what it looks like underneath, but you're not going to see that. That'll be on the cake. This was my finished cake and cupcakes for my customer. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe.